Hello lurkers, and hello all you archaeologists. I'm the Johnstruct. Welcome to the proximity. No, I can't say that word. Archaeologists. I'm about to begin a Heartworm adventure. Some parts of this game may be considered violent or cruel. It's Heartworm. This game has an attract screen because it's a throwback to the PS2, PS1 era of games. So, there we go. It won't take very long for me, for us to see it. I don't know if it's just going to play the same again once we start the game. So I've been playing lots of survival horror throwback games recently because that's now a thing. And I like that it's a thing. I finished Tormented Souls, and after that I decided to play. I might need to fix the VSync. Crow Country. I've not finished Crow Country yet, but I'd like to dip in to the next game. So this is what this is. This is me trying out the next game. Tormented Souls actually had the same disclaimer because people really like to reference the Resident Evil / Silent Hill disclaimers. There's a bit of a spectrum in those two games. And yeah, I've been getting into my survival horrors recently. I've been playing through all the Resident Evil games. A lot of those are fucking terrible. But yeah, this clearly wants to reference the PlayStation 2. Oh, it's all those videotapes. So watch her make her way to this spooky house made out of wood. So we know it's in America. Ah, and a little bit of clock tower as well. Now, it won't look as good as a clock tower, the game series, but that's a game made by an entire company, whereas this has been made by a single person, as far as I could tell. So we're going to cut it some slack when it comes to graphics. I will say, out of Tormented Souls had a team behind it, one, but I didn't think it looked as good as Crow Country, which was clearly a single person, but who did a very good job at hitting an art style, which I think this is trying to do. We'll see. I think it gets, like, I think it's an issue I had with Tormented Souls where it wanted that fidelity at the same time, whereas, and so whenever it looked good, and whenever it looked bad, it looked bad. It didn't look bad because it didn't look like I was watching through a lens, if that makes any sense. Like Crow Country does a really good job at. But this is clearly trying to do that, so 1998. We have ourselves an option screen. We will be playing all that on pixelation, dithering, sure. Why not? That sounds great. If we press new game, we get a host of options. So I will have to see if there's a way to fix the VSync. You know, one game I've been meaning to play. Actually, I'll write it down because I will forget. I think I watched a review of it, so I might have to try and forget the review I watched. I didn't realise I was going to be going back for all these games. Rustin Parr. And I think it's by the same company. The survival horror game about a guy in a hat. I forget what it's called. But I think they both star the same characters, so it's the same company. It should be reasonably easy to find who that is. Right, I'm assuming this is what it wants me to play. Right, so it puts subtitles on, which is what I want. I don't know why it's showing me the camera for that. Oh, it doesn't have a camera thing for that. Tutorials on, yes please. We have tank aiming with her camera. Camera obscura. Camera lumina. But we have tank movement. Now, I don't know if I want to do tank movement if I have the option not to do tank movement. I've been recently playing Tomb Raider, the remake. Now, I never played the original. I did play the originals when they came out, the first one, but I never got far. I'm certainly further now than I've ever been in the past. But you kind of have to play tank controls because the gameplay revolves around that. Whereas I don't know if this game does or not. Hopefully these are changeable once you start the game. So I'll tell you what, I will keep these as is and assume that that's what the game wants me to do. So we have normal or challenging. Some more healing items, more ammo, enemies deal less damage. For those who want to unravel the story without much threat or danger. So I will say that is sort of contradictory. There's an art to this. For those who want to challenge. I guess I want to challenge, but like maybe you wanted to call that easy normal. But like then again, so normal is going to be what I'll gravitate towards because that's what you're recommending ostensibly. But like without much threat of danger doesn't sound as interesting as a challenge. I don't know. We'll play on challenge. Actually, I suppose I could just ask the internet. Give me a second. Right. I don't think enough people have played this to get a really big consensus. So I'm just going to play challenge. I've played a lot of survival horror games. I've forgotten. Okay, green seems to be the select. Yeah, I think you need to do an extra graphic for select. Oh, yes. I have to confirm. Confirm and begin game. There we go, let's go. I'm sure I'll regret that later. Yeah, so I have this thing called the Fights and Frights playlist, where I was going through all the years playing fighting games and frighter games. I'll put up a thing in a second, not now. Pools are nice. Just a real picture of a guy.
Sorry you haven't heard from me in a while. I've been busy trying to find out about this place. You're not gonna believe me, and I don't even know if I really believe it myself, but I guess a part of me must, because I'm going. It's far, on an abandoned road, a few miles from that power plant in the mountains. It was hard to find anything about it. I started on message boards, and I ended up in a chat room talking with people who know people who know people who've gone. They said a lot of crazy stuff, but the one thing that they all agreed on is that in that house, there's a room that can take you to the other side, to see the people that you've lost again. The thing is, no one who's gone has ever come back, and that's why I'm writing you. Not for advice, not to get you to talk me out of going. Actually, by the time you read this, I'll already be there. I just wanted to let you know, in case I don't come back. That way you won't be wondering where I've gone. Either way, you don't have to worry about me anymore. I'm sorry, but I don't have any other choice. I just can't keep going on not knowing.
Cool. What I really enjoy about these revivals is they all have subtly different focuses. It's... Everyone played these games and they're beloved, but they all got something different out of it. It's a survival guide movement. Well, I will say one of the inspirations appears to be Fatal Frame, which is not one that most of the others do. As I said, there's a clock tower in there as well. Survival guide movement. L stick moves you around. You can run by holding the X, while moving forwards. If you're using modern controls, you will always run, and the joystick will control your speed, depending on how far it's pushed. I'm very tempted to turn off. Oh, hang. Okay, well that seems to do it on tank controls as well. Which I am definitely on tank controls. So, I will say, when I replayed Resident Evil 1... Oh, yeah, I tell you what. I don't know, somebody might find this interesting. This is my frights board. So, I played Resident Evil... I played all these games in a row, which is like I did it every Thursday, Friday. And so... There are games missing from that you might expect to be there, like a couple of Silent Hills for a start. And I either already played those games, or two of them came out the same year. So yes, I have played all Clock Tower 3. I've played Haunting Grounds and Silent Hill 1 and 2 and F. I've played the one about the girl and the dog. That isn't Haunting Grounds. I forget the name of that. And I played through all the Fatal Frames, unless they made a new one or remade one. But yes, and yeah, it's nice to be in a position where I'm like, well, I'm kind of running out because the thing about where is it on the list? Resident Evil 4 might not be on the list. I might have played it separately. But Resident Evil 4 came out the same year as Haunting Grounds, and it's a fork in a road. Haunting Grounds is kind of the last survival horror, for a long while anyway. And by the time I got to the end of when I played the start of Resident Evil 4, I was just like, okay, I get why we needed this, especially after Code Veronica. By the end of Resident Evil 4, I missed Code Veronica. Code Veronica's got an awful storyline. It is pretty much the start of Resident Evil being just terrible. But like, I get that it needed a mix up. But like, I like the more traditional survival horror games. I really miss them. Despite the fact I didn't really play them back in the day. I wonder what that game's called. Yeah, I could do with a second thing. Yeah, you might be thinking, oh, Kami, yeah, I just didn't have anything for that year, okay? And it sort of mirrored, it was Capcom, and there's a sort of Capcom flavour going on here. Looking this way? So yeah, I might... It did just contradict itself. Oh, I can't change the style. Okay. I might put it back onto the tank. This is just going to be a lot more fun. But yes, the reason I brought all that up was when I played Resident Evil, before I started the Fights and Frights playlist, I tried recording just gameplay footage and cut down. I called them Dronicles. I should really finish that. I still have the footage. And I played Resident Evil 1996 version rather than the remaster. And I save scum the fuck through that, and two, I had to like put the controls on both analog sticks because tank controls are just awful. I'm not like Tomb Raider. It's kind of required because of how you do the jumps and stuff, but it just feels really bad. We have ourselves a camera. Getting to Resident Evil 7 and realising it's got the status meter and going, oh, it's just Resident Evil 1 again. I was well happy about that. I've been saving up those games for so long. I will take the camera. Why would I not take the camera? It's also funny because when I replayed Silent Hill 1 and 2, I think 1 especially, I used an emulator and put the resolution way up, and it looks great. You turn off dithering, like, to be fair, like, you can see the dithering here. That's fine. The dithering on the original Silent Hill is really aggressive. Like, our televisions were crap.
Sometimes I wonder if I spend more time thinking about death than the average person. My grandfather died a while back. I know it happens to everyone, but it almost feels like I'm obsessed. It's frustrating. No matter what I try, my thoughts always circle back to the one thing I can't control: my own mortality. I came all the way out here not knowing if I'll get the answers I need. I just hope it's worth it.
Yeah, I'm happy to be playing modern controls. It's locked. Notice condemned. I tell you what, let's put myself on the other side. There we go. Windows are all boarded up. It's too dark to see anything through the cracks. So, obviously this is a throwback, so it's going to try and look like the old game as much as possible, though it's not going to. It's still going to do it in widescreen. But lots of modern games put the writing at the side of the screen because it's easier to read. It's kind of annoying having to drag your eye all the way across the screen like that. Diary, Pleasure Beach. I finally went to explore Pleasure Beach today. It's been on my list forever, and the forecast was perfect. But, unsurprisingly, I ended up in over my head. When I got there, everything was pretty normal. There were folks on the shore having a picnic, enjoying the beautiful summer day, and the usual kids messing around on the playground across the streets. The street, even. I grabbed my camera, locked my car, and started making my way across the land bridge. It took maybe 30 minutes to cross, longer than I expected. The island seemed to be completely empty, so I began searching through the abandoned homes, confident in my solitude. So many of them were destroyed, roofs and walls collapsed from years of disregard, some houses so decrepit I couldn't even enter. But there was just enough left that I began to really feel bad for those people. I was concentrating on reading it properly, and then I didn't retain any of it. They had no time to pack and leave. Family photos were strewn across floors. Belongings were still packed in drawers. I even saw a table that looked like it had been set for dinner, however many years ago. My sympathy turned into suspicion as I ventured further. Many of the homes, the same red graffiti in their attics, markings and symbols I had never seen before. I assumed it was just kids messing around, but something about it began to trigger my paranoia. I noticed the sun was setting as I reached the end of the residential area. It was strange. I could have sworn it had only been a couple of hours. Last time I checked my watch, it was before noon, but now the clock reads 7:30. I brushed it off as if losing track of time. It was frustrating. I hadn't even gotten to half the town, but I knew I had to head back. The land bridge would be submerged soon, if it wasn't already. Sure enough, as I turned the corner to where I had entered earlier, I was greeted by nothing but the sea. The entire land bridge was underwater. I was stuck and alone. Or so I thought. Give ourselves a lighter. It's Samantha Mastelner. Slightly shorter than I am. Forum post. Paranormal discussion. Connecticut Valley. Threshold. I played a show in Hampden the other night. Was talking to some locals. They mentioned a spot that sounded like it could be a threshold. Past the Tricon plant on the mountainside in the middle of the state. Old house that's been abandoned for at least 10 years. None of them seem to know why. Check some boxes. But check some of the boxes. But I don't know the area. Any of you CT people? Mulder, I think I know it. By Devil's Glen. Man, that house has been abandoned for ages. IIRC. I can't remember what that stands for. Used to be a real nice family living there. Don't know what happened. Could be one. This is Ubex Dave even. I was up there once on a hike. It's definitely creepy. Totally boarded up and overgrown. Didn't go inside though. I didn't have my gear with me. I never went back. Okay, 1998. I suppose it does make sense that Connecticut would have boards dedicated to themselves and wouldn't be like, okay, Reddit is probably what you'd use nowadays, but like the idea that people in their local area could talk to each other on the internet wouldn't be just spread out. Didn't go inside, didn't have my gear with me, never went back. I work in the town over. I stopped by the town hall before work today. They couldn't tell me anything about it. It's not for sale. Wouldn't release any other info. Sorry, I tried. I'm totally going this weekend. Gonna check it out for myself. Been waiting for one close enough that I could actually go. I'll report back with findings. Wish me luck. Has anyone heard from Ray? Hey, I'm new to the board. This is Sam. But I've been reading a lot and I'm thinking about checking this one out and a thing I should know before I go. Sam, saw your intro post. Sorry to hear about your grandfather. Sorry about the cough. Don't want to be a pessimist, but no one has found a true threshold. Not that we know of, at least. Doesn't mean the place isn't dangerous, though. Just remember to stay safe. If you decide to go, take someone with you. Good luck. Okay, we saw that one already. Is that her diary or one we found? The lighter. We have some cigarettes. We have some film. We have a camera. We have put the film in the camera. Road closed. Bridge is out. This isn't the way I need to go anyway. I shall go this way. I enjoy that there's an option to turn that off there. Flash. Some areas are too dark to see without help. You can use the camera flash without consuming ammo by not aiming and pressing RB. There is a map. Okay, well, do I have to equip it? Cool. Pleasure Beach 2. It was darker than any night I could remember. What game had that? It's a nice conceit. I've seen it before, but it's I can't remember now. I don't really like first person horror games. Although I like Resident Evil 6. So, but I'd probably, like, I get that the visual horror is there, but the games that inspired it, I wasn't interested in. The island was far enough offshore that there was no light pollution, and in almost no time I was wandering in the pitch blackness. It was cold too. The breeze coming over the weather contrasted heavily with the mild weather earlier that day. I didn't have much of a plan, but I knew that if I was stuck, I would have to find a place to stay warm. I made my way back to the house, which were much, much more terrifying in the night. I turned to look down the street and froze mid-step. I could barely see due to the lack of light. But it looked like another person was standing there, right in the middle of the street, staring at me, motionless. I tried to rationalize, but in that situation my sanity was already being tested. I called out to them with a strained hello, praying to God that whatever that was just some teenager, not whatever nightmare my mind was conjuring. No response, no movement, nothing. I looked around and noticed some of the windows in the attics of the house. They looked like there were dim light coming from them. Candles, maybe. But I had been there all day. I didn't see anyone. It didn't make any sense. As every possible scenario, none which seemed to end well for me, raced through my mind, one rational thought broke through and reminded me I had my camera. I could trigger the flash on demand without using the little film I had left to illuminate my surroundings. I was so scared I almost didn't want to. What if there really was something there, and using my camera would only alert it to my presence? Finally, I pressed the flash trigger. Everything around me lit up, and I saw nothing. The figure in the road was gone. The light coming from the windows, gone. It was just a silent, long-dead town and me. The rest of the night was uneventful. I used my camera flash to navigate the ruins, found the closest house with 4 intact walls, locked the door to one of the bedrooms, fell asleep against the wall. I woke up the next morning and booked it back across the land bridge. I don't think I'll ever go back to Pleasure Beach. So, I don't have a... I'll have a holding screen next time I play this. Next time I stream this game. Again, this is a fun contrast to Tormented Souls and Crow Country. This one has pros. So Crow Country is a game that very well knows its strengths and doesn't do long dialogue. Does in-game dialogue, but doesn't have long writing sections of prose, because either they wasn't interested in that or it wasn't their strength. Tormented Souls does. It has diary entries, and they're not very well written. They're also overly ambitious in terms of like the entire story being told. So I like what this is doing, is telling you a parallel spooky story of somebody who's presumably going for the same thing as we are. So it's like our own diary, but it's someone else. So it's doing two things at once. I like that. That's good. We shall have to investigate. Nothing useful in the drawers. This room here? No. No, we're not allowed. Unless we had a nuke. Okay. We're not allowed. Unless we bring Luke. Unless we're here. Unless we were here. That's with him. Or with the host. One of these days I'll be able to guess one. I'll look out the window quickly. I can see just the yard on the other side of the house. Completely overgrown. I was going to say, why is it so dark if there's... There should be quite a lot of like ambient light. Don't be petty. Alright, I was just asking. So when I recorded, still a lit cigarette. When I recorded footage for the OG Resident Evil, I did end up fast forwarding through all the fucking doors. So I will probably turn that off eventually. Narcissus and Goldmund by Hermann Hesse. He thought that all men trickled away, changing constantly until they finally dissolved, while the artist-created images remained unchangeably the same. He thought that the fear of death was perhaps the root of all art, perhaps also of all things of the mind. Okay, I'm sorry, I just want to talk about Tormented Souls again. Tormented Souls wanted to be both a Resident Evil and a Silent Hill at the same time, to the point that it even had like not one but two versions of like another world. It's kind of confusing because it had like a time travel thing going on, and it had another like an alternative evil dimension. But all the story is actually a mundane like evil cult story. Like it's convoluted because lots of things happen to explain. But like only that underworld has this sort of thematic thing, and it doesn't really do anything with the theme. Whereas what I'm getting from this, and why I brought it up again as a contrast point, is that this is very much the theme is what it cares about the most. Is what I'm getting from this. Death. And again, Crow Country, a game that very much knows its strengths, isn't going for either of those. It has, you can probably tell that I really like Crow Country insofar as it nails exactly what it wants out of it and doesn't deviate. It's just like, I want the puzzle box, please. And I'm gonna I'll do horror in the subtle way within the system, and it'll be a tiny bit cheeky, but like never too But like, we've only just started this. We'll see how good this is. We fear death. We shudder at life's instability. We grieve to see the flowers wilt again and again, and the leaves fall. And in our hearts we know that we, too, are transitory, and will search for laws and formulate thoughts. Search for laws? And in order to salvage something from the great dance of death, to make something that lasts longer than we do, perhaps the woman after whom the master shaped his beautiful Madonna is already wilted or dead, and soon he, too, will be dead. Others will live in his house and eat at his table, but his work will still be standing hundreds of years from now on, and longer. It will go on shimmering in the quiet cloistered church, unchangeably beautiful, forever smiling, with the same sad, flowering mouth. I will say, as a warning, you're gonna have to do something with this. You can't just have you can't just put poetry in your game. A couple of the Resident Evils. Which one am I thinking? One of the really bad ones. Not Survive. Resident Evil, the one on the fucking island where it keeps doing quotes from Kafka. And it just has nothing to do with the game. Because it's fear. Fear turns them into mutants. So the person doing it is just really into Kafka. And it's like, you've done nothing with this. You didn't need... Kafka has fucking nothing to do with the storyline. And I appreciate that might just be a mood piece. So many books. If I had more time, I would enjoy it here. Why not like the books? Shelves are stocked. Sounds like Fruity Loops music. Almost anything you could want to read is here. That. Violin, whatever's supposed to be playing. Roaring fire that looks like it was recently tended to. Item boxes. Inventory space is limited. Item boxes can store items to who need them. Each item box is connected to every other, so they'll all share the same items. It's supposed to only carry what you need. I would like to save my progress. I enjoy that every game has to come up with a new way to do this. Yes. We are playing on challenge mode. I've not seen any monsters yet, so... I like that it says 11 minutes. I've been streaming for 45. An unintelligible scribble has been scrawled across the notepad. I definitely wasn't talking for 30 minutes before we started. It's noticeably better kept compared to the others. Nothing particularly noteworthy. Oh. Couldn't pay me to open this fridge. Not my first rodeo. They leave in a rush? Cabinets of rotten food scattered throughout them? Kind of curious as to why this screen even exists then. Secret door, secret door, secret door. How's it light? Because of the sunlight from the chimney. Oh, fair enough. How is it dark? Father's journal. I finally put the pieces together the day you were asked where John was. John's here. I'm John. At first I was confused, thinking maybe you forgot his exact address and wanted to send a letter. I laughed and replied with the address of the home where our son had been living in for the past 2 years, with his wife and our new grandchild. I won't ever forget the look you gave me, perplexed and confused. You asked, "What is he doing there?" When I told you that he moved there for his job, the expression on your face darkened. I could tell that something wasn't adding up for you, but you slowly shook your head and walked away. How could you forget that? I knew you were both getting on in the years. Forgetting little things was understandable, but we had gone to meet our granddaughter only months ago. I wanted to believe it was just a momentary confusion. To this day, I still wish I was right. Dirty old couch. Well, somebody walked in this room. Combining. Select an item from your inventory, choose combine from the context menu. Yeah, I did that already. For example, you can use bandages and antiseptic on their own or combine them to create a first aid kit which heals for a larger amount. Is this what these two things are? It's a bandage. It's antiseptic. Well, right now I have no reason to combine them. Oh yeah, I forgot I had the house. Huh. Bim, 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 bim. Two doors. Three doors. More nasty old furniture. Painting looked like it would disintegrate if I touched it. I think this is the front door. It won't budge. Won't budge. All of these paintings seem to be of the same place. Massive library. Room's a mess. Most of the books are destroyed. This journal, too. We went to see a doctor today, at last. It's hard to make it all out of the way. It's hard to make it out all the way to the city. When we were younger, it seemed like such a charming idea to have a house so isolated, with our own little world. Now, just getting groceries in town is a hassle. I made the appointment and made sure you were ready to go. I could tell you. I could tell you didn't know why we had to. You didn't think anything was wrong. I've always had my head in the clouds. I'm fine. You're overreacting. You would tell me over and over. I didn't even want to think about whether you remembered the reason why this was necessary. We're waiting on the scan results now, but based on how you were with the doctor, I'm not hopeful. You had trouble answering his questions, and kept looking at me for answers. God, why is this happening so fast? I held your hand over the stick shift as I drove you home, while you cried softly to yourself. That seems dangerous. I can't help but hate myself for thinking it, but I think we're close to the end. How did this happen so quickly? Only months ago. The sound of your singing filled the house as you tidied up, did the dishes, cooked us dinner. Now you barely get out of bed. Something inside of you has broken. Half the time, you look at me and see a stranger, but you won't acknowledge it. Just turn over in the bed and try to go back to sleep. I wonder what you dream of. I hope it's of the last fragments of our beautiful life together. So far, it's trying to get a lot of story through. But I do have a weapon of sorts. Perhaps that'll change. A mirror. Ray tracing. Bath that could fit like a lot of people. Nice to see a mostly intact mirror. Despite everything, it's still me. The tub kicked in years of filth. I've seen worse. Oh, antiseptic. Another thing I'm not doing, opening the shower curtain. Nothing in this world could convince me to use the bathroom here. Okay. Anywhere we've not been? Go back to the foyer. Also, I never went up here. Survival guide, map. You can press the map from your... yeah, I know, I've already used it. New areas you enter are automatically tracked, and you can gauge their level of completion based on the amount of static covering them. If there's still static over the room, there's more to be done there. That's nice, I like that. So there's stuff to do in the dining room. Should I go back to the foyer and check it out first? Because I thought I'd actually investigate everything on the floor. So there's just... This room serves no purpose. Just... Oh, no. I'm thinking of a different room. Fair enough, but we'll do that afterwards as well. So... Yes, of course. Oh, and that's the exit. I had actually explored everything there. And we can go outside. It doesn't seem like it should be quite so dark inside, but... I like that it's contained within the room. Let's save our room in this... Save our game even, in the safe room. Still have a hard time believing I was faffing for 40 minutes. It might be a good place to leave it, to be honest. I'll tell you what. No, we didn't get to see any combat. But I think I'm going to leave it here. It's 17 minutes in. This is always supposed to be a taste. I have no reason not to play more of this. I'm enjoying it so far, but obviously I've not reached the meat. So I probably will play a little bit, even if I don't finish Crow Country. I'll play a bit more probably. But I'm going to leave this here for the time being. Just a little taste. Ah. So I thought Heartworm, it was called Heartworm because that's just sort of grotesque imagery. But oh no, I was going to say they're talking about a sort of medical malady. I'm curious why it's actually called that. Thank you very much for watching. I've been the Johnstruct and having a little try out this Heartworm adventure. Yeah, well, I'll see you next time. I was supposed to disappear then, but for some reason the buttons just sometimes don't work on this. I'll try again with this one.